Locked In Baseball Podcast, Monday, November 10th. I'm William Locke. He's Luis Barranco, coming to you live from Chicago, Illinois, and Miami, Florida, respectively. It is time for our MLB Offseason Preview. Luis, this is the time you thrive. We both love the regular season, obviously. I feel like you got an itch, a niche, whatever, for the offseason. You love it.
As I say, I am Mr. Rebuild. I am Mr. Blow It Up. This is my GM franchise mode. I love this time of the season. My mind always works in speculation. Again, it's officially the winter meetings. GM meetings are going on today. I mean, you have a hoodie here in Florida. It is actually cold. People are complaining, and wearing parkas out here. It is actually 50 degrees, and everybody's out here wearing winter jackets. It's like they've never experienced something under 60 degrees down here. It's the great Arctic freeze in Miami.
Yeah, it's an Arctic freeze in Chicago. We got 4 or 5 inches of snow over the last couple of days. Been tough, a little early for that. But yeah, you were always the guy growing up that was doing the 2K rebuilds, the MLB The Show rebuilds. And, a team goes on a 5-game losing streak in June. You're blowing it up.
Blow it up. Blow it up. Hey, sell the farm, nuke it. I mean, hey, I am Sam Presti when it comes to this stuff. Sam Presti, who else? There's no GM in baseball that hoards. I'm the anti-AJ Preller.
Yeah, anti-AJ Preller. Yeah, we got a fun episode today. This is one of my favorite episodes of the year too, talking all things offseason. We have a full slate. The board is completely jam-packed. Not one single player is off the board yet. We'll see when the first signing is. Nonetheless, we are still very early in the process. Like I said at the top, it's only November 10th right now. We're going to be talking through our top 5 free agents each. We're going to be talking about some under-the-radar guys, and then we have some other superlatives like team under the most pressure this offseason, team most likely to disappoint their fan base this offseason, teams that are most likely to overspend, underspend. We'll see. So we got a lot planned. We're going to, talk through the majority of the board. There obviously will be guys that we leave off, but we're going to hit all the main guys and get you guys set for what should be a fun offseason. It's a very interesting offseason because after next season, once the 2026 Major League Baseball season ends, then the CBA expires and we will be in a lockout. It seems like everybody is essentially accepting that as something that is going to happen. It's not really up for debate. So that'll be interesting to see how, it impacts deals that are negotiated this offseason. Will we see guys, be a little hesitant to take 1-year deals because they don't know what's going to happen next offseason? We're going to see guys that maybe try to, obviously you want that long-term security, but those deals, 2-3-year deals with opt-outs. I don't know. It's all going to be interesting to see how the labor negotiations affect this offseason. But we got a lot to get to today, Luis.
Exactly. I mean, and I like to open up today's podcast. So make sure you subscribe to the YouTube channel, trying to get up to 200. Subscribe to the TikTok. Follow the Instagram account. And I just want to open up, there's a big misconception that goes around baseball with spending money in championships. Yes, the Dodgers do have probably the biggest payroll in the game right now, if I'm not mistaken. But they do not have a single player. They do not have a single player in the high. They don't have the single highest player at one position. For example, in 2026, Zach Wheeler will be making $42 million. He will be the highest paid starter. Josh Hader at $19 million. Sean Murphy at 15, Vladimir Guerrero at $40.21 million, Jose Altuve $33 million, Francisco Lindor $32.47 million, Anthony Rendon $38 million, Jordan Alvarez $26.83 million, $37.11 for Mike Trout, and then Juan Soto at $61 million. Spending money at one position, you're making yourself the highest player, doesn't naturally guarantee that you have the best of the best or that you are locked into the title. It's all about roster construction. This is the time where you see under the radar moves to shore up the bullpen, versatility. You see a lot of these little small moves make a difference in October, as we see. I mean, you can look at the Yankees. I mean, Max Fried was a godsend this year, but you can also talk about guys like Tim Hill, who they re-signed for a 1 year with a club option deal. You can talk about guys that the Blue Jays acquired on small contracts in the offseason or trades, like Dalton Varsho. Dalton Varsho was a Gold Glove catcher for the Arizona Diamondbacks, and they parted ways with Lourdes Gurriel, and he was one of the big difference makers in that Toronto lineup. Moral of the story is not all moves are of the same magnitude, and not all moves are not created equally.
Yeah, it's an interesting point because I think it's a very deep free agency pool this year. You have the headliners, obviously, with the Tucker, Bregman, Bichette, but there's some depth there. Guys like Brandon Woodruff, Trent Grisham's a free agent. Ha-Seong Kim's a free agent, guy that's had success in the past. So obviously, the headliner guys are the people that are going to make the most headlines. But those under the radar moves, whether it be via free agency or trade, all of them make a difference into roster construction, to your point, and who ultimately wins the World Series. You mentioned the Blue Jays. I mean, Ernie Clement, another guy that did not start his career with Toronto. So there's Shane Bieber, trade deadline acquisition. Obviously, that wasn't an offseason move, but every single move that happens this offseason makes a difference. I think it was today Cameron Meisner got traded from the Rays to Kansas City for some outfield help for cash consideration. So we did have a move. Also, Andrew Kittredge earlier a couple weeks ago or last week went from Chicago back to Baltimore. Good bullpen arm. So there have been moves that have already taken place. We're talking mostly free agents today. It's really hard to predict who is going to get traded and for what and when. Obviously, there is going to be a trade market this winter, headlined by Tarek Skubal, who I think is, I don't want to say almost certainly, but it seems like it's 75% likely that he's going to get traded. Guys like Joe Ryan have been rumored. So not only are there free agents, but there will be trades, probably some big trades this offseason that those are almost impossible to predict. But those will happen, of course, as well. Luis, you want to kick it off with our top 5 free agents? We can go guy by guy and just compare our lists.
So my top 5, I'm gonna cause some stir with my top 5. Number 1, Pete Alonso. Number 2, Kyle Tucker. Number 3, Alex Bregman. 4, Bo Bichette, and 5, Cody Bellinger. Discuss.
I was surprised when I saw this list in the document. I have Kyle Tucker number 1 consensus. I feel like top free agent this winter. Number 2, I went Bo Bichette. You have him at 4. I put Dylan Cease 3, Murakami 4, Munetaka Murakami, and Alex Bregman 5. I'm curious your reasoning for Alonso at number 1 here.
So, I mean, for those that don't know me, I enjoy overpriced coffee. I am a sucker for an overpriced coffee and a bacon, egg, and cheese bagel sandwich. Again, I was sitting down at, with my overpriced coffee, not a matcha guy. And I wanted to take a deep dive. Kyle Tucker this season wasn't great at all. And, this talk of him going into the $400 million range is something that I really wanted to take a deep dive into and see, okay, why are we putting him in that category? And, for a guy that, last year that I really wanted the Yankees to go acquire, I think I was kind of blind to a lot of the things that Kyle Tucker is. Yes, he was an all-star this year, but he hit 266, 377 OBP, and 464 slug. Again, a career low in batting average since his 2022 season, which he hit 257. I know he battled a lot injury, 4.6 WAR. The WAR's been declining since 2023. It was 4.7 last year. 73 RBIs this year, not getting up to that 92, 100 range that was in 21, 22, and 23. And, when you're paying for these big ticket free agents, you also have to think about that you're going to be a contender. You're going to be making the playoffs. You want to make that run. And when you look at Kyle Tucker in the postseason, my guy, it has been something to just take an eyesore. Again, this year, he hit 250 in the NLDS, 273 in the wild card, and 23 in the CS with Houston. He hit 154. In the wild card, I'm not going to count, but he didn't register anything on a batting average 0. 143 in the DS versus Minnesota in 23. In the World Series, he hit 190 when they beat Philly, 154 against the Yankees in the CS in 2022, 267 against the DS in Seattle. And, World Series, he was a little bit better in 21, but, he's not that performer that you expect in the playoff performer. When you compare to Pete Alonso, the polar bear, lives for the moment. I mean, he does have a limited sample size in postseason batting, but I mean, in last year's CS against the Dodgers, he hit 273, 308 in the DS versus the Phillies, recorded 4 RBIs against the Dodgers, 3 RBIs against the Phillies, and then against Milwaukee, he hit 222, but he got 3 walks and 3 RBIs. So again, Pete Alonso has been a better performer in the postseason. And when you look at his IBR numbers for Tucker, Tucker's only recorded 1 RBI in the DS. In the World Series against Philly, he recorded 5. But other than that, there have been some 0 to 1 RBIs in all of his other most recent postseason experience. So I take Pete Alonso. I know people are going to be like Kyle Tucker with the defense. He has speed. He's out in the outfield. But, I mean, Pete Alonso is going to get you on base. He's going to mash. He's going to bring you home and put up the runs. I mean, I'm sorry. I mean, we do have to give credit to Pete Alonso where it's done. And, not the greatest defender. But, I mean, hey, if you're going to mash and bring in runs, go ahead.
So, basically, you're basing this on postseason performance?
And regular season. I mean, go look at Pete Alonso regular season. Pete Alonso had a really good regular season these past 2 seasons. I mean,
yeah, so he's at 272 this year, but only 38 home runs.
But he's going to hit more home runs. He had 34. He didn't hit for average last year, but he hit 34 home runs. He's a consistent 85 to 120 RBI guy. He's a feared hitter, and that's what you want, my guy. And I know the age, you're going to bake in age, but, man, yep. I mean, Pete Alonso is good. He just matches the ball.
That's a key point. He's 30. Tucker is 28, will be 29 by the time next season starts. Alonso, to me, is a bit of a one-trick pony. Strikes out a good amount, doesn't play good defense, not a plus runner, pretty much hit for power. Now the average was a tick up this year, up to 272.
A tick up,
a lot higher than his career average of 253 for sure. The average was up, but I look at Kyle Tucker. I see a 5-tool player, and it might not be a scream out to you the way an Acuna does or the way Shohei Ohtani does, but I think obviously this year with Kyle Tucker, you have to weigh in the injuries. He was banged up all season long, had the hand thing in June. Played really well, actually, for like a month after that. Then got hurt again with the calf strain toward the end of the season. That hampered him in the playoffs as well. So I think you don't have to necessarily throw the numbers out for Kyle Tucker this year, but I think this year was more of an outlier just because he was dealing with more stuff than he had been in years past. Obviously, the previous 6-7 seasons before that, he was in Houston where he became comfortable, was on winning teams. And I think another thing you have to factor in here with Kyle Tucker is I view Kyle Tucker as probably the best Robin in all of baseball. I don't personally view Kyle Tucker as a franchise guy. Now, you might say that's crazy. You're paying $400 million for a guy. You want him to be your franchise guy. But I look what he did in Chicago where he kind of had to be the guy. The Cubs were pointing to him and be like, save us, be the guy. Take over our team, lead our franchise for this season, carry us to the promised land. And actually in the first half, it ended up being PCA that was that guy in the lineup. And that's when Kyle Tucker played his best baseball. Of course, you, again, have to factor in the injuries with all of this as well. Kyle Tucker gets hurt, falls off in the second half of the season a little bit, struggles. I see Tucker wherever he ends up, and the teams that you hear are the Dodgers, the Yankees, the Blue Jays are the 3. I think that Nightingale floated out there today. All 3 of those teams, he doesn't have to be the best player. He can be the Robin. In New York, obviously the spotlight is going to be there. In LA, he can go in, play right field, fill in for Teoscar. Teoscar slots over to left, and there's no pressure on him to, produce day in and day out. He doesn't have to carry the franchise. He doesn't have to carry the lineup. He can just go in and play baseball every single day. And I personally think that's what Kyle Tucker is looking for. I saw him in Chicago this year. He looked a little bit out of his comfort zone per se. Again, everyone was relying on him to hit 40 home runs, steal 30 bases, be the franchise guy. And I just don't think he's that guy. I view Kyle Tucker as the best Robin, the best number 2 guy in all of baseball. And that's why I think wherever he ends up, I think it's going to be the Dodgers. Just get ready for it. I think it makes a lot of sense in LA, but I think he's going to turn those numbers around from what we saw from him this year. And that's why he's my number 1 free agent.
For me, it's just are you really going to pay $400 million for a Robin? You can spread that money around in so many different ways and find better value for that. And he just doesn't perform on the moments. And if he's going to be on a contender, you want him to be performing. And I'm sorry, like he just didn't look like the same player that we saw in Houston and Chicago. And can he play in a big market? Can he play in LA? I mean, LA is probably the best perfect market. But I mean, the pressure's mounting on LA. They're getting put into conversations with the all-time Yankees teams, those all-time dynasty teams that like playing in LA is not like LA of old, where like I don't want to talk a bad rap in LA, but it's like one of the places where you can make a lot of money and play bad, and you can get away with it just because of the West Coast bias and just how it is. But I don't think LA is becoming that. I think now national media is bringing that pressure that the New York teams get into LA. And so I don't think it's the best spot. And it's $400 million. He wasn't the greatest in Chicago. You saw his attitude problems. I know you're a big attitude guy, attitude issues. That's a big thing to happen. I know he's going to be in a veteran locker room out there, but I don't know. And the thing about Canada too is you have to think about it. Those tax prices in Canada, and it is Canada. You're not in America. It does take players, a little bit. Not saying that players are actively trying to go there, but it does make players like retract a little bit going to Canada because of the country and of the taxation laws in Ontario.
Yeah, I would be surprised if he ended up in Toronto. I think they're going to be active this winter. They're definitely a team to watch coming off, the World Series and everything. I think they'll probably be viewed as a more attractive destination for players that want to go out, and specifically when obviously you talked about all the things outside of baseball that make it challenging to go to the Blue Jays, and they very well still may need to overpay a little bit to get some of these top guys just because of the logistics around playing in Toronto. But I just view Tucker as the best free agent. He's, like I said, he's going to be 29, former Gold Glover in right field, but the metrics defensively have dipped a little bit over the last 3 seasons. Should be fine in right for the next few seasons. But this is another guy, and we'll go through a lot of these players where you could see a position move down the road. He could move into a DH role. He could move into a first base role at some point over the next 10 years of his deal.
But that's what I'm saying. You're going to be paying those $40 million. It's like the whole Juan Soto and all that. You're going to be paying all that money, and it's just like I'm telling you, give me the masher that I know I'm going to have a productive bat for the next 5 to 7 seasons, and he's going to be great at doing it. And Pete Alonso loves the moment. We know Polar Bear Pete lives for the home run derby moments, and he's played in New York. Like
where do you think Alonso ends up?
Pete, Boston. I don't know. It doesn't. I want to say Boston, but like it's just like I just can't see him without the Mets uniform. Man, it's just the Mets, man. The Mets are just the Mets. This Mets offseason is probably one of the most pivotal off seasons for the Mets. You just came off a collapse of a season that has been talked about all summer long. Steve Cohen is up there with his money and just he literally came out on Twitter and said this is not going to happen again. So I fully expect them to be opening up the checkbook, getting starting pitching, and keeping that lineup in order, because the lineup wasn't the problem last year for the Mets. We know the lineup can mash. Pete was mashing. Juan was an MVP candidate. Francisco Lindor, for as much as like his demise is exaggerated, played some good ball down the stretch. It's just about arms. So, and Pete Alonso, Juan Soto, yeah, he's the guy, but Pete Alonso is Mr. Met. And I just can't see him in another world across from the Mets. If he does leave, I don't know, maybe Boston, but I just don't see Boston making that financial commitment.
Steve Cohen selling his gold toilet, by the way. It's an interesting thought on Alonso and the whole negotiation with the Mets. Because to your point, he is Mr. Met. He's been the face of that franchise for a while now. And it would be weird to see him leave. Who steps into that role? It'd probably be Lindor. I mean, I think he's the unofficial captain of the Mets. So it'd probably be Lindor still. It wouldn't be Soto. The thing with Alonso, and I don't think Alonso goes back to the Mets this year or next year, because we saw David Stearns come out and say that they're going to be focused on run prevention this winter. Is there a spot for Alonso short-term, long-term with that franchise? He opted for the 2-year deal with an opt-out last winter. I think he's looking for some long-term security this year. And if you have a front office that says they're signaling to or they're wanting to improve defensively, Alonso's not your guy. And if you have Alonso at first base for a couple of years, but then ultimately, that's a guy you're going to want to pivot if he's on a long-term deal. You're going to want to pivot him to DH at some point in that contract. The thing with DH position with the Mets is you would think Juan Soto is going to have that position locked up for the next, maybe not the next couple of years, but after that, at some point you would expect Juan Soto to pivot into that DH role. And with Alonso, you'd want him there too. So that's two guys that are negative defenders. And then you also have to weigh in the fact that last winter, after they re-signed Alonso, Cohen came out and said that the Alonso negotiations were exhausting before a deal was completed. So I don't know. He's a Boris client. Negotiations were tough last winter. The defense thing, I really like the Red Sox as a fit for Alonso. Again, it's a question of if FSG is willing to shell out that money for him, but I think he would be perfect with the Green Monster. And then the Mariners make sense. They need corner bats. What about the Padres? Luis Arraez is gone. And then
do the Padres even have money? I'm sorry.
Probably not, but they could surprise us.
We gotta be a little bit, rational here. The Reds aren't going to be spending money for Pete Alonso. Like, that's just not a fit for one, because they just don't have the Pete Alonso money. The Mariners, I don't think that's a fit for the bat and the lineup. I don't think that is like Kyle Raleigh and Pete Alonso together. That's just too similar of play style and player bats. Like, yeah, you're going to hit a bunch of nukes, but a bunch of solo shots, because Kyle will bring in the runners and then you'll slot them behind. It's a solo shot. I just don't think they need that. And I just think he is Mr. Met, my guy. Like, he gotta be a Met, man. It'll be weird. And I know run prevention, but like, there's so many other ways to get around that. Get better pitching. Go get you some pitching. And we've had this discourse a lot with Pete. I think the next interesting free agent is Alex Bregman. I think he's a great player. I just feel like you do see his stats. For me, he's my number 3 guy. For me, the big thing is that he had a really big resurging year. Again, Gold Glove defender, all-star player. It's just, he is 31 right now, going on 32. Do you really want to make that financial commitment for him for a long term? That's just my issue with Bregman. And he is a top playoff performer. Really benefited out of that monster up in Boston. I just don't know how you. I don't know with Boston. Again, it'll be difficult with Bregman. I think he's a fit, but I just don't see like how good he's not on the echelon of Pete Alonso bat or Kyle Tucker bat.
Well, again, with Bregman, this is a wily veteran, a guy that's been in the league since 2016, 2017, certified winner, great clubhouse guy from all accounts. And the only thing with him that makes you nervous right now is he's 31, turning 32 March 30th. So age 32 season next year. How long of a deal does he get? Right now, MLB trade rumors are projecting 6 years, 160 for Bregman. Had a good year with Boston. Again, I do think and you kind of mentioned it, like that infield's crowded. You'd expect Marcelo Meyer to want to be a full-time starter next year at third base, probably. And then, at short, it's Story. He opted in for another year. Second base, do they go with Rafaela? I think first base with Casas is a spot that they could make a move. Is Bregman willing to play some first base? He could also DH, but I think you want the glove out there. He's a Boris guy. It's an important thing to note. Apparently, last winter he sought 7 years, $200 million from the Tigers, and then he earned $40 million last year. So is he going to try to get 160 to get up to that 200 mil round total? That's a Boris client thing. They love those round numbers. So we'll see. Got a lot of money last winter. I see the Phillies here as a team that makes a lot of sense if they decide to move on from Alec Boehm. There's been a lot of trade rumors, trade speculation with him. Do they want to move on? I think Bregman would slot in very nicely. Like I said, turns 32 in March, and 6-year free agent deals at that age for position players are very rare. The last one to sign a 6-year, so the last person to sign a 6-year deal after being 32 years or older was Freddie Freeman in March of 2022. So Looking for some long-term security. Obviously, Bregman is this winner. I just don't know where it's going to come from. My gut says, even though I love the fit in Boston, I think he makes so much sense, not only on the field, but off the field, being a veteran presence in that locker room for a very young team. I don't know if FSG is gonna be willing to shell out that money. I think they would rather have Marcelo Meyer and let him, start for full time for the for the first year of his first full year of his career. So I think the Phillies make a lot of sense. I just don't see the Tigers shelling out the money. You could see the Mets do it. It's kind of the usual suspects with a lot of these top free agents, but I don't think he goes back to Boston.
Let's keep it going. We've been going 25 minutes in here. Let's briefly touch on our last couple guys. I mean, for me, Bo Bichette, your number 2 rated guy. My issues with Bo Bichette is like, yes, the bat's there. Resurgent year this year, really, really good year. My thing is just like, what is future position like defensively? I don't really value him defensively. I just don't know if he's worth the investment. Of course, the bat is worth an investment, but again, he had a down year on 24, and then he came back. I don't know if 2024 was an anomaly year, and this year is kind of his resurgent year. And again, fielding wise, again, not the greatest defender. -13 on the DRS. On the -12, excuse me, -13 on DRS, excuse me. So I don't know.
Very negative defender, but the bat plays, and you saw him in the World Series move over to second base because of the knee injury. Looked really good at that position. I think you're paying for a second baseman here long term. Unfortunately for Bichette, that's not a premium position compared to shortstop, and it's not a premium position, period. So that could affect his market a little bit. That said, I think that benefits the Blue Jays. Maybe they get him on a little bit of a cheaper deal than if he was just a straight up shortstop and a good defender. So right now, trade rumors has him at 8 years, 208. I would be just very shocked if they don't re-sign him in Toronto. I think him and Vlad are going to be, the face of that franchise for the foreseeable future. They're both locked up long term here. And I think I don't see him going anywhere else. I know there's been like weird Yankee rumors from some suspect sources.
Oh God, please, bro! Can we just end the Yankee rumors with every big prospect, like every big player? Excuse me. It's just not gonna happen. Like we've seen this team before. They will not spend. They're at a hard line. We understand that they don't spend. I mean, the Mets and the Dodgers are ran by corporations. The Yankees are run by Hal freaking Steinbrenner. Hal Steinbaker makes his income off this team, not like Guggenheim, who this is just a hobby to them. Like they can like report losses and operate at a loss. Like it's just not going to happen, boys and girls. Like let's just be real. My thing with Bo Bichette, you want a sleeper team with Mr. Bichette? How about we talk about a little bit of him going potentially to the Braves? I mean, there is a familiarity with Alex Anthopoulos. He was there for a long time as their general manager. I know there was no overlap, but they need a shortstop, need a little bit of a bat influx. Lost it with Dansby Swanson. Why don't you just slot Bo Bichette in there right in front of Austin Riley and Ronald Acuna Jr.?
It would make sense. It'd be a good fit. Are they going to be willing to shell out that money? That's the question with Atlanta. But I do like that fit. They need a shortstop. And then, if they want to move him to second base long term, they could do that once Albies contract expires. I only think he's got like a year or two left on that deal.
Yeah.
Could be wrong. But, I could see him sliding over there long term. At the end of the day, with Bichette, I think it's Toronto.
Toronto. Okay. What about you got Dylan Cease number 3 and you got Murakami 4. Let's talk. Give me your takes on those two.
Yeah. Let's start on Cease. I think the biggest thing with Cease, and I think he's the best free agent pitcher this winter, it's durability. Cease is the only pitcher to make at least 32 starts in each of the last 5 seasons. Kevin Gausman has made 31 in each of those. Despite leading Major League Baseball in starts, though, since 2021, he only ranks 7th in innings pitched because he doesn't go deep into games. He was 83rd in baseball this year with 5.25 innings per start. But in his good years, he has managed to rank top 40 with 5.7 innings per start. But he doesn't give you the length, but what he does give you is high fastball velo, 97.1 miles per hour average on the fastball. That's 6th among qualifying starters this year. Very good slider as well. one of the best in all of baseball. Actually, in 2022 and 2024, it was ranked as the most valuable slider in all of baseball. So he's, kind of a two-pitch guy, fastball slider, 95th percentile in swing and miss this year, and a 29.8% strikeout rate, which was third among qualified starters. So that's what it is. It's strikeouts, it's reliability. That's something you really want in a starting pitcher. He's still pretty young. I think he's 28, something like that, 29. Could be wrong on that. 29, turning 30 before the season starts next year. He's an up and down year though. He's kind of a every other year type of player, similar to like a Blake Snell in that regard, except Snell has the higher upside with 2 Cy Youngs. Cease obviously doesn't have that. But I think out of the list here, I think he's the best free agent pitcher, just ahead of Framber Valdez. And I think Cease is a perfect fit for the Red Sox. The Red Sox really need that elite, not necessarily elite, but like they need that solidified, bona fide number 2 starter behind Garrett Crochet to form a really nice 1-2 punch. I think that's what they're looking for this offseason. Now that could come via the free agent market, or it could come via trade. Obviously, they were linked with Joe Ryan at the deadline. That deal did not come through. It could be Cease this winter. It could be, a guy like Framber Valdez, a ground ball pitcher, or it could be eventually one of these young guys that develops, Connolly early or Peyton Tolley. But I think Boston's going to be pretty active this winter in trying to identify that number 2 starter behind Crochet. And I think Cease makes a lot of sense here. It's a matter of again, is FSG willing to spend that kind of money?
Again, I think a natural fit for Dylan Cease would be the Chicago Cubs. I mean, the Cubs did draft him in the 6th round. Jed Hoyer did draft him, was shipped over in the Jose Quintana trade way back when. Cubs do need a starter. My thing is like he is a strikeout guy, which does fit fly ball park in Chicago. My thing is he's just so up and down, and that financial commitment you're going to have to make to him is so expansive that I don't know. I'm hesitant with Mr. Cease. I cease and desist.
Yeah, that's fair. Trade Rumors has him at 7 years, 189, which feels a little steep. One of the teams that has been, again, kind of like rolling in the under the radar, oh, watch out for this team, they could spend money this winter, is Baltimore. They need some starting pitching help behind Trevor Rogers. Obviously, they lost Corbin Burns last winter. I could see it. One of the guys on Trade Rumors has him going to the Phillies, but that just doesn't make any sense to me.
No.
The Phillies have too much pitching that it makes no sense for them to go out and spend money on a pitcher. I think Boston or Baltimore for Cease.
How about Atlanta? Also, I don't want to come in Atlanta. I mean, Smith-Schwarber tore his UCL. He's out for a while. They need somebody next to see the Sale. Strider hasn't been the same guy after the internal brace UCL surgery. He is a local product. He is from Milton, Georgia. I mean, they were linked to him back when he was traded from the White Sox back then. Could be a sleeper team. Again, they came out, the Braves brass came out and said that they're going to be up there in payroll this year. They're going to be spending with the big boys this year. So let's see if they actually prove it this offseason and get a shortstop and some pitching help. But they did make the comments out publicly that they will be spending up there in like the top 5 to 10 spending teams in Major League Baseball on payroll.
Good. I mean, that's exciting. They have the bones for what could be a World Series team. They just got to go out and fill in the pieces. And this could be the winter that they do it. Chris Sale, I think he's got 1 year left on his deal, and obviously he's on
1 year, $18 million was a club option that got picked up the other day. Of course, at $18 million, that's literally Jameson Taillon, Marcus Stroman money. That's a bargain. He's a Cy Young candidate year in, year out. I mean, like I said, they have him. They have Schwarber, who's going to come back after the All-Star break. Spencer Strider. They're going to have to fill out the bullpen because Rafael Iglesias is a free agent. But yet again, if they're going to be up there in payroll, I mean, let's go. It's go time. It's all right in front of you. I mean, Atlanta's a desirable place. It's a beautiful ballpark. They have made the investments there in Atlanta to build a winner. So it's time to see what happens.
And I think an interesting point that maybe not many people are talking about with Atlanta is they only have Acuna under contract for 3 more years. And yes, he could very well re-sign with the team, but he's making like nothing given how talented of a baseball player he is. He's making $17 million a year for the next 3 seasons. And at his best, he's an MVP caliber player. I mean, we saw what he did in 2023, one of the best seasons in the history of the sport when he won the MVP. So there's a little bit of pressure, I think, on Atlanta to get it right over these next 3 seasons while they have one of the best players in the whole sport on the roster. And I think it makes sense that they go out and spend some money this winter. That's exciting to hear if you're a Braves fan. And yeah, I was right on Albies. He only has 1 more year and then a club option for $7 million, which they probably pick up. Although, I mean, $7 million is nothing. Nonetheless, cease to Atlanta would make fun. On Atlanta, Drake Baldwin won Rookie of the Year this year today officially. So congrats to him. Cade Horton, number 2. Number 3 was Caleb Durbin. Number 4, Isaac Collins, and then number 5, Dalen Lyle from the Nationals. So, also, I was watching the broadcast, and Drake Baldwin seems like a good dude. He was very happy, very I don't know, just seems like a nice guy. Good interview.
All right, let's talk about it. Murakami, quickly.
Yeah, I could go on for a while, but Munetaka Murakami, perhaps the most interesting free agent prospect this winter, to me at least. He's topped 30 home runs he's topped 30 home runs in 5 of his 7 full seasons in NPB. Again, noting that NPB seasons are 144 games long. He would have done so in 2025, but had an oblique injury, so he was out for a couple of months. 2-time MVP. Both of those MVPs, though, are a couple years old now, falling in 2022 and 2023. Has not been as good as, those 2 MVP seasons over the last 2 seasons, the 2 most recent seasons. And now there have been more concerns about the strikeout rate. You're seeing a lot of that on Twitter right now. In his first 2 seasons, 21% strikeout rate, but over the last, over 2024 and 2025, 28.8% strikeout rate. It's power here with Murakami. And, he's only 25. He will turn 26 over the winter. That's why he's going to be one of the most paid free agents this offseason, is because he's younger. And we know how much, age is a factor in free agency. So this is a power bat. I'm seeing 9 figures. We'll see how he translates to Major League Baseball. Can he hit high velocity pitching? That's another concern that I've seen on the internet. But this is a bat that excites me. An important note on the deal is, and this is from MLB Trade Rumors, the posting fee. So there will be a sizable cost on top of the contract guaranteed to Murakami. The signing club would owe a posting fee to the Swallows' NBP team that is proportional to the size of his contract. 20% of the deal's first $25 million, 17.5% of the next $25 million, and 15% of spending thereafter. Therefore, a $180 million deal would come with a posting fee just shy of $29 million. So that's not shabby. That's a lot of money worth of posting fee. Now, that does not count toward the tax for what it's worth. But Murakami, everyone's saying, oh, he's a Dodger. I don't necessarily see the fit with LA because they just picked up a club option on Max Muncy. He's going to be their third baseman. DH spot is taken for the Dodgers.
No, the DH spot's replaceable.
What? Are you joking?
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. DH is taken for the Dodgers. I thought you were being serious there for a second. First base, Freddie Freeman's still under contract for a while. And that's another thing with Murakami, not the best glove at third base. So ideally you move him to DH or first. I just don't see that with the Dodgers. So I think the Phillies make sense here if they miss out on Schwarber. The Mariners make a lot of sense. They're looking for a corner bat, and obviously, very attractive for Japanese players. Seattle is. And I could see Boston too. They have Masataka Yoshida at DH right now, but they could, intertwine there. Or maybe you play him a little at first base if they trade Casas. So those are kind of 3 teams I'm thinking about for Murakami. A lot of people say the Yankees, but I don't think he's going to go to the Yankees.
I mean, my biggest thing with Murakami is this past season facing pitches 93 miles per hour or higher. I think this is the selling point is he's hitting 95 batting average.
So that stat was debunked. I actually think that's not true. Apparently, a lot of people are reporting 225. So there's some conflicting reporting on that. 225 is a lot better than 95.
I mean, that's still not that great. Bye-bye.
That's a lot better than 95, though.
But still, I mean, in 2022, he hit 327 average. I mean, the biggest thing with Murakami is, again, he hit 273 this year. A lot. They want to compare Shohei Ohtani to him because, I mean, the Ohtani had similar struggles. And, I mean, I get this from Yaku Cosmopolitan on Twitter, a great account. when you compare Murakami and Ohtani, Murakami had a better WRC plus by 208 to 165, less chase rate, a little bit like 2% less zone contact, but he had a fastball percentage of 13 points higher that he was doing, and he had a 1% harder hit rate. I mean, it's just all dependent. What do you need in your lineup? And again, let's just emphasize, all these players we talk about, the fit matters. Because sometimes, it just doesn't fit the Yankees. Think about it. The Yankees don't need mashers. We've been over this. They don't need a Pete Alonso. They don't need Murakami. They have Giancarlo Stanton, Aaron Judge, and they have enough of those. Like, they need difference. So with Murakami, the fit matters. I think Seattle is my fit for him a lot.
Yeah, Seattle makes perfect sense for him. 56 home runs in, I think it was 2022, broke the NPB record. Did that in, I can pull it up, but 56 home runs in 141 games. That's pretty freaking impressive stuff. I'm excited to see. I mean, if he was a free agent 2 years ago, be one of the most coveted, Japanese players coming over to the States alongside like Ohtani and Yamamoto, but he's not on that level right now. I think he could get to that level. Let's see. Right now, Trade Rumors has him at a 8-year, $180 million deal. Also, another team that makes sense for him is the Mets. I could see the Mets going out and getting him.
If they lose that on Murakami, I do believe so. Oh, not Murakami, on Alonso. I think that's a really good fit. Move Vientos over, and yeah. I'll talk about my last guy, Cody Bellinger. I think we've talked enough about him. Just a great hitter this year. Really was a really good player for the Yankees this season. Really did a great job in that Yankee lineup. I mean, as they say, Plan B was crazy, as they say. Again, this year against lefties, he hit 353, which is one of the best in the majors this season. 244 against righties, has to improve. But again, you're getting Gold Glove defense. He plays, he was playing a host of positions out in the Yankee outfield, and he crushes lefties. And a guy who can kill lefties, and being a lefty himself, I mean, that is something very rare. Hit 272 this season. Again, really good player for the Yankees. Again, I do feel he will be a sought-after free agent.
Yeah, he's platoon proof. I think that's the most important thing with Bellinger, alongside the two-strike approach and the low strikeout rate of 13.7%, is he plays really good defense, 7 outs above average this year, but he hits lefties. He's one of the rare lefty bats that crushes lefties. You just don't really see that very often. So there's extreme value in that. I mean, he's a Boris guy. Right now, Trade Rumors has him at
8 by 160. So he's going to get either like 160 to close to 200 for like 6 or 7 years.
200.
Probably.
Trade Rumors has him at 5/140. Okay, so here's my thing. Yankees offseason this year, there's been a lot of talk about re-signing Bellinger. That's their top priority. My thing with Bellinger, he's a great player, had a great season for the Yankees. He's a little bit older than Kyle Tucker. And if you're the New York Yankees, your free agent target this winter should be Kyle Tucker over Cody Bellinger. I know Cody Bellinger was in-house last year, had a great season for the Yankees, et cetera, but we don't pay for past performance. Again, Kyle, you're paying for what you project the player to do. And I think you go after Kyle Tucker because he's a better baseball player than Cody Bellinger. All due respect. I think that should be target number one for the Yankees this winter over Cody Bellinger. And if you don't get Kyle Tucker, similar to kind of the Juan Soto thing last year, if you don't get your number one target, then you pivot it to plan B. And fair enough, Cody Bellinger could be plan B again this winter, and he can still be a very good plan B. It's a guy that I project, I think he's going to have a good next 5-6 years of his career, which is probably what his deal is going to look like. It's a question of, can he stick in the corner outfield, or is he going to have to move to DH at some point? I really hope not, because that's going to be Judge's position at some point in the coming years. I think, the Yankees want to move Judge to DH as soon as they possibly can, if we're being honest. But the Yankees, they haven't landed the number one, like their number one target, the big fish in the free agent pool in a long, long time. I mean, we always talk about that offseason heading into 2009 as kind of the one offseason where they went all in. Sure enough, they won the World Series after that season, or after that winter. Go all in and get Kyle Tucker. And I look at Kyle Tucker as a guy that, it's going to be probably like $400 million over the course of 10, 11 years. That's a lot of money, but it's not as much money as you literally offered Juan Soto last winter. You almost offered Juan Soto $1 billion last winter. So I think you should be okay with giving Kyle Tucker $400 million.
Can we just be honest?
Sure.
Like I know you want to get me excited. I know you're trying to get my pickle excited out here, but I don't feel like it's gonna happen. Like we've seen how the Yankees operate. We're seeing what's coming out. I don't know. I just feel like it's not gonna happen. It's gonna be Spencer Jones and Jason Dominguez trotting out the outfield next season. You just know it's gonna happen. Spencer Jones is gonna be the big offseason acquisition.
Trent Grisham. They offered the qualifying offer to him, $22.05 something million this year. He could very well pick that up and be the Yankees center fielder next year. So I don't think it's going to happen either.
So as much as we can wish and pray, I mean, let's be honest. Like this team is not inspired anything. But I mean, let's keep it going. I mean, let's go quickly. I don't want to spend too much time, but I'll give you my top 3 under the radar impact free agents on the market. I mean, my number 1 guy, Harrison Bader. Harrison Bader had been a consummate professional with the Cardinals, the Yankees, played a little bit with the Mets, started in Minnesota this season, and then he ended up in Philadelphia. And I mean, the dude killed righties, hit 300 this year, struggled against lefties, but I mean, this dude at the end of the season, in September, he had 314, in August, 293, July, 290, had a bad June, but in May, 322, in April, he hit 254. Like, the dude plays good defense, gold glove defender, good defense, speedy, and the bat's coming along. And I feel like for a contender, I mean, look, Trent Grisham might get paid for his home runs. I mean, why don't you just go get Harrison Bader, chuck him in the outfield for the Yankees? I mean, run it back. He is a New York kid. Let's run it back again. Let's do it again. Next guy, Luis Arraez. I think we already know what we're getting with him. He is going to be a poor defender, but bat to bat, he'll be a guaranteed single. I mean, let's get him. If a team needs a good leadoff hitter, I mean, not the fastest guy, but needs somebody to get on base, I think that's your man. Singles king. And then my next guy, Peter Fairbanks. I mean, really underrated closer. I feel like he's a guy that we'll be looking at and be like, oh, how did he end up here as a free agent? I mean, let's talk about it. I mean, this season he was an incredible pitcher for the Tampa Bay Rays, hitting with a 2.83 ERA. Again, he was recorded 27 saves, has some experience closing. I think his best role is suited as a setup man. Again, I feel like he'll be a guy that will help a contender. Righty pitcher. Again, does a really good job with righties. Righties only hit under 200 against them. Lefties hit 208. Does a really good job. I mean, let's talk about it. Only had one really bad month of July. You take that month of July where his ERA was 4.32. He posted ERAs of 2.89 in April, 1.69 in May, 3.6 in June, 2.45 in August, and 3 flat in September. I mean, this is a good pitcher, a good relief pitcher. He won't cost you top dollar like a Devin Williams might or an Edwin Diaz might, or Ryan Helsley even too. I think Peter Fairbanks is a sleeper. He'll make a real impact on a contender.
Going with a government name for Pete Fairbanks there, Peter. Yeah, I mean, he's a good reliever coming out of. I think it was Tampa did not pick up his option. They had an option on him, and they didn't pick him up. Luis Arraez, I mean, it's tough because if he's not hitting 315, 320, I mean, he hit 292 this year. It's literally just singles and bad defense, negative base runner. There's concerns there. He doesn't strike out. Obviously, he's going to give you a good at bat. We'll see what happens with Arraez. Curious to see where he goes. Not much besides singles with him. And the other guy, Harrison Bader, yeah, he had like 304 when he was with Philly. So really good trade deadline acquisition for them. Could see him getting paid decently. You think New York? I think like going back to Philly makes a lot of sense. I really think any team could use Harrison Bader. Not the Red Sox. The Dodgers. Yeah. Kike Hernandez replacement.
I don't know. Kike's going to be there. I don't understand why you don't like Harrison Bader. Like I would be jumping out my seat for Harrison Bader.
He's good. I mean, he's a good defender that with the up and down bat. That's kind of what you're getting at him. Not much power, but he's gonna play good defense and run and hit for average a little bit too. I got 3 guys. Tatsuya Imai is one of them. Japanese pitcher, was posted, I think, yesterday. So he's officially coming over. 5'11" righty, will not turn 28 until May, so he could get a lot of money here. The youngest free agent pitcher of note, had a 2.34 ERA last season, and a 1.92 mark across 163.2 thirds innings. This past season, he was one of MVP's top pitchers this season. So teams are looking at him as like a 2, 3, 4 guy, could potentially be a good reliever too. Upper 90s, long hair, fastball, slider. He's got a splitter in there too. 5-pitch repertoire. So big arm. I don't think it's going to be the Dodgers. I mean, it could be. I think I look at the Giants as a team that make a lot of sense. What about the Padres? What about the Orioles? Does he go to Seattle? Does he go to the Angels? Is it going to be West Coast, or is he going to kind of branch out, go East Coast? But I don't think it's going to be the Dodgers. I mean, if it is LA, it's going to be in a relief role. It's not going to be a starter for him. But it's a fascinating name.
I'll tell you right now with the Giants, they said they're going to be valuing pitching depth. So I don't think they're going to be in a big fish market. The chairman downplayed the possibilities of long-term deals for free agent pitchers. So I think they'll be in the bargain bin market this summer.
And this is not a bargain bin guy, but he is certainly under the radar. Another note with him, he did struggle with command. He walked at least 11% of his opponents in each of his first 6 seasons. Although he got that down to 7% this year, but not known for his command, but a high velo guy, gets up to 100 or close to 100. So I think he's flying a little bit under the radar. Another under the radar, I mean, I wouldn't say under the radar, but he is, because he's one of the top. I have him number 2 free agent market pitcher, but he is under the radar in the sense that I feel like he's just an underrated pitcher. Framber Valdez, since starting his 2021 season debut, he ranks 2nd in Major League Baseball in innings pitched, only behind Logan Webb, has avoided the injured list. And yeah, he's ranked no worse than 8th in baseball in innings per start since 2020, averaging at least 6.1 per outing. Yeah, just an innings eater, ground ball pitcher, 60% ground ball rate, which is usually good for top 3 in baseball. So yeah, he limits home runs, gets ground balls. He's pitching every single start, every time in the order he's going. ERA was 3.66 this year. But again, I think teams are going to kind of be evaluating their FIP or the Sierra or their BABIP more so than ERA. And another note, I think, with like free agent pitchers is, are we going to see guys convert from relievers to starters, vice versa? And also you have to weigh in the fact that there are teams in front offices that think they can fix guys. I'm not saying that Framber Valdez is a guy that needs fixing, but there are teams out there that are going to convince themselves they can fix certain pitchers. I think Framber makes a lot of sense for the Cubs. You just mentioned the Giants aren't going to be in on top free agent starters, so maybe that's kind of out of the realm of possibility. He's a little bit older, 32. So you're looking at probably a shorter deal for Framber. I think the Cubs got to have this guy circled, though.
Yeah, I think Cubs need to be on every big free agent pitcher this summer. Winter.
And then my last under the radar dude is Devin Williams. Yankees did not extend the qualifying offer to him. So there's no draft pick compensation attached to him. That's another important thing to note. Guys that are extended the qualifying offer, if they leave their team, sign elsewhere, you have to forfeit a draft pick to the team that lost him. The Yankees did not extend that to Devin Williams. So he's a free agent. Was bad for a good chunk of the season, but really turned things on down the stretch for the Yankees. Was probably the 2nd most reliable reliever in that pen, behind David Bednar in the playoffs. So I think he is going to go somewhere and be very, very good next season on a discounted deal. And that's going to benefit a team probably like the Dodgers. The Dodgers are going to sign Devin Williams, and he's going to go out there, probably a better fit for him in LA than New York. And he's going to go and shove, and he's going to be in the running for reliever of the year. And he might even develop a 3rd pitch, and it's all going to work out for him.
And he'll close the World Series, and it'll be him and Blake Snell and Roki Sasaki all hugging at the end in the parade. He'll be on Mookie Betts' podcast, being like, "Oh yeah, I mean, I love my time in LA. I thought I was going to be here. I want to end my career." Yep, I can totally see it. Save the clip, post it up in a couple months. Thank us later. Let's run through. I mean, we've been blabbing. Again, 55 minutes in, close to damn near. William, let's do some superlatives. I mean, teams with the most pressure. I said the Philadelphia Phillies. I mean, the Philadelphia Phillies got this really aging core. You got Bryce Harper, who could be on the decline. I mean, you had those comments pre-free agency. Kyle Schwarber's a free agent. You have Nicholas Castellanos on the move as well. Trey Turner is there. I mean, just a really aging core. You got good pitching. Zach Wheeler coming off injury. I mean, this team has to do something to get over the hump, and they have to do something to match whatever the Dodgers are doing and get up to the Dodgers level. I mean, we talk about that series. I mean, they lost in heartbreaking fashion where Orion Kirkering doesn't make the play at home plate. I mean, they got to make a few moves and do a couple tweaks because I do feel like this is the last iteration of this team. I mean, if they don't do anything, they're going to get passed up by other teams like the Mets, Braves, or maybe even the Padres.
Iteration? Yeah.
Yeah. Excuse me.
Alliteration. Team under the most pressure this winter. I have the two Pennsylvania teams in, of course, the Phillies. You kind of hit on all the key things, but they're aging. A lot of big free agents this winter. Do they want to go out and re-sign those guys? They're going to try to get Schwarber back, and I think that makes a lot of sense. But do you go after a Real Muto who's aging? Castellanos probably going to get moved this winter. I think they have to be active because, again, to your point, you have teams in your league in obviously the Mets, who are going to be big free agent spenders every single winter now for the foreseeable future, as long as Steve Cohen is their owner. You have the Dodgers, who have just won 2 straight World Series, beat you head-to-head this year to get there. They continue to spend. They're going to be there every single season. And you're one of the few teams in the National League contender-wise that's on the downward trajectory versus the upward trajectory. I view the Dodgers and Mets as their primary contenders. I think they're both on the upward trajectory. They have to go out there, and I'm very curious to see if they retool it this year and just bring everybody back, or if they go another way and try to pivot. Do they bring in a Bregman? Do they go after Kyle Tucker? I think they have to go after Kyle Tucker. He should be in the sweepstakes for Philadelphia. I don't think it's going to happen. I think their primary goal is going to be to re-sign Kyle Schwarber, which makes a lot of sense, but it's still an aging core. So I think there's a ton of pressure on Philly. And then Pittsburgh, they've indicated they're not going to trade Paul Skeens, and I think that's the right move. But now you have to go out and back that up. You can't just say, okay, we're going to keep Paul Skeens and not do anything about it this winter and just keep the same roster. And you can't in good faith do that and expect to win with Paul Skeens on your team. So you have to go out. I'm not saying you have to go out and get Kyle Tucker because we all know that's not going to happen. But go out and get some free agents, make some effort to make your starting lineup better this year. The pitching is there. A lot of young talent in that rotation. Bubba Chandler is there. Mitch Keller is there. Obviously, Paul Skeens. Do something to surround him. Just get some bats into that lineup. And then you could push for the third wild card in the National League. And then who knows? In a best 2 out of 3 series, one of those games is Paul Skeens. You got a chance. So I think there's a ton of pressure on the 2 Pennsylvania teams this winter. I'm very curious to see what both of them do.
Talk about it. Team most likely to disappoint their fan base in free agency, William.
I mean, New York Yankees, because the fan base expects Kyle Tucker, Juan Soto, prime Randy Johnson every single winter, and it doesn't happen under this iteration of ownership. So I think the Yankees are going to disappoint. I think the Pirates will probably disappoint their fan base, although I don't know if they have expectations. And I think the Blue Jays fan base they're one that they saw they just came inches away from winning a World Series, literal inches. And I think they're expecting some type of free agent signing this winter. I just don't know if it's going to happen outside of Bo Bichette, which I think will happen, but I don't really view that as like an acquisition because it's kind of just staying where you were last year. And again, I think that's offseason priority number 1 for them for sure. So I'm not saying that's a bad thing to re-sign him. They should do it. But I don't think they're going to go out and make like a splash like a Kyle Tucker. I don't think it's going to happen. They did just get Shane Bieber to pick up his option for $16 million, which is crazy. That's an absolute bargain for one of the better pitchers in the game. I think there's probably some extension in the works. They're probably going to bring Tucker, or not Tucker. They're going to bring Bieber back on an extension. It's probably already almost agreed upon, but Yeah, I think the Blue Jays will disappoint their fan base this winter.
I'm gonna go out of left field. I'm taking the Boston Red Sox. I mean, Boston Red Sox. I mean, you got a lot of big ticket free agents on the market. You just got rid of Rafi Devers' money. Bregman hit the market. You have needs in starting pitching. I just don't think they're going to be big spenders. I mean, when you look at the Boston team, they got a lot of youth in that team. I think they'll be more in the market for good veterans and not the big ticket veteran guys. I mean, we got Marcelo Meyer, Roman Anthony, Cedar Rafaela, Willie Abreu, Jaron Duran. I think they're a team that we'll see a trade. I think we'll see them trade for like a Jaron Duran for, I don't know, for maybe a starting pitcher out in the market. Maybe they go after a Sandy Alcantara. Maybe they go after one of these unsettled starting pitchers in one of these markets trying to set some money. And that's what I think Boston does. I mean, Boston has the prospects. We do see Craig Breslow in that front office run a little bit differently. They're not like big spenders. Yes, they got Bregman, but it was a very team-friendly deal, if you want to say, with opt-outs and whatnot. So I kind of feel like they'll add 2 or 3 guys, not the most expected guys you think they'll add, and they'll run it back.
I think that's a good one. I think they're going to rely on their young core and kind of just let them develop next season. But they do need to go out and get a number 2 starter, and I do think they will do that, whether it be via trade or free agency. Honestly, if I had to guess, I'm leaning trade for that acquisition.
I do agree. Most likely to spend New York Mets. As I said, Steve Cohen is probably itching at the bit to spend some money this offseason. We could see a mass entry of starting pitching. I can see them get a Framber Valdez, Edwin Diaz coming back. Maybe they go make a trade and go get Ketel Marte. They do have a hole at second base. They don't have a good second baseman. Let's put in Ketel Marte right there in the middle of the infield. I mean, talk about a team that they could build this offseason. I mean, I'm very fearful what the Mets can do. I think it's great for baseball that you see both New York teams good, and I think Steve Cohen's going to make the Mets a contender this offseason.
Honestly, as a Yankee fan, I want to see the Mets compete with the Dodgers. I just think it would be good for baseball. Watch those 2 teams beat up on each other, and then whoever comes out of the American League play them in the World Series. Yeah, I have the Mets, of course, but I also have the Phillies. I think I would just be stunned if the Phillies don't spend some big money this winter, whether that be Schwarber, guy like Alex Bregman. They're going to be very active. I think Castellanos will get traded. They'll probably have to pay down a good chunk of that contract, though. I think Bohm might get traded as well. So very curious to see what Philly does. It's a huge offseason for them.
Let's talk about teams that are least likely to spend. I'm thinking the Dodgers, and I think you agreed with this one. Again, I think they're more in the market of tinkering and putting pieces, finding versatile chess pieces to put in that lineup. They just picked up Max Muncy. They're picking up a lot of their guys. I think they're going to pick up a lot of their guys and just add and tinker. They do have a lot of money on the books. So maybe they get one big ticket guy and that's it. Maybe a big ticket closer. Maybe they go get Edwin Diaz out in LA.
Yeah, there's been rumored that they want a closer, but they're getting Tanner Scott back. They're getting Bruce Dahlgren all back next year. So the bullpen's going to be really nice. I think they get Tucker. But like the expectation is that they spend $1 billion this winter. I don't know if they spend as much as they did last winter. I don't think it's going to be, oh my God, the Dodgers, they're ruining baseball this winter. But then again, if they get Kyle Tucker, people will say that. But I think it actually is a move that makes a ton of sense for a need for the Dodgers. They need an outfielder. So I don't know. I think the Dodgers maybe won't spend as much. The Yankees might not spend as much as people are expecting. They're always in the top 3 for all the top free agents and then finish second or third. So those are 2 there. Player most likely to get overpaid. You said Dylan Cease. I said Pete Alonso.
Yeah, Dylan Cease. I think he's an every other year guy. I think the fit really matters with him. I think if he ends up on a team where the ball flies like the Cubs, I don't think it's going to be a good fit.
Fair. And then with Alonso, I think he's a strikeout and high strikeout, not good defense, not good runner, but hits bombs. Don't get me wrong, hits bombs, but it's kind of a one-trick pony. So we'll see. I think fit is, again, everything with Alonso.
Yeah, I mean, I think he's going to be wildly underpaid. Move on. Most likely to get underpaid. Brandon Woodruff, again, He's a good arm. I do feel like he'll be a guy that will get a nice little contract. I think he comes back to Milwaukee on a team-friendly deal. But again, I do feel like he's an impact arm out there just because of injury. He's kind of been sidelined for the past year and a half. Came back, had injury concerns at the end of the season. But I do feel like there's a lot of juice in that tank.
I think he goes back to Milwaukee as well. Trade rumors has him at 3 years, 66. So that would be 22 million a year, right at the qualifying offer amount. I think that makes a lot of sense. They have the Mets here. They have the Cubs here. I think he goes back to Milwaukee. Maybe even signs a little bit for less than that 3 years, 66. But he's definitely an under the radar guy, free agent this winter. I have Devin Williams as the guy that's most likely to be underpaid. Again, this is a dude that was one of the best relievers in the sport every single year, pretty much, except this year, the 1 year that he got traded and had a new market to play in and everything. But we saw signs from him this year. And I would not be shocked if we come out in March and all of a sudden Devin Williams has a different pitch. So just be ready for it.
Again, I feel ready for that. Most overrated player, again, you say Pete Alonso. I think Murakami. I do feel like we're really making Murakami to be this savior and this mega player when I just don't think he's that type of dude. I think he's more of a Joey Gallo, Adam Dunn mold.
I think he's
Chris Davis.
I think he's Kyle Schwarber light. Very light, but
we haven't even talked about him this podcast.
Yeah.
He's a free agent, so
because I just feel like Kyle Schwarber is going to re-sign with Philly. There was
he's going to be a Red. Relax, he's going to go home.
You really think he's going to go to the Reds?
He's going to go home. He's going to get that bag and go home.
5 years, 135. Trade rumors has him at. I don't think he goes back to, or sorry, I don't think he goes to the Reds.
I think he goes
I think
home, get some money.
There was a report. There was a report today, I think it was from Buster Only, that expect him to be one of the first guys to sign Schwarber. I think he's just going to ink to paper back in Philly. Makes a lot of sense. He's played his best baseball in Philly. I think that's what happens with him.
Most underrated player, I said Merrill Kelly. He's available. I think he's a player that could be a reliable 2-3 starter for a playoff team. Again, not getting that much publicity.
I had Michael King and Brad Keller. So Michael King, the starter from San Diego, also formerly of the Yankees, kept him in the rotation and going into 2024. Had a great season in 24, 7th in Cy Young balloting, 2.95 ERA, really good in 25 to start the year, 2.59 in his first few starts, striking out 28% of his opponents, but got injured in May with a shoulder thing, and that kind of just affected his season. So I think his free agency would look a lot different if he was just healthy this winter. But I think he's going to fly under the radar. And then Brad Keller, reliever from the Cubs, had a career year. Could get like a pretty big 3-year commitment, 30 million, something like that. I've heard floated. One of the better relievers on the market this year. And yeah, he was using like pretty much high leverage spots all season long for the Cubs. 2.07 ERA over 69 appearances, 25 holds, some saves in there. So I think Keller is going to be one of the more highly touted relievers on the market this winter.
Sleeper spenders, I said the Braves. My reasonings are that they've already come out and said that they're going to be up there in payroll, so they're going to be spending some money. You said the A's. I mean Sacramento.
I said why not? The A's, they're going to try to keep building this thing as they head on over to Las Vegas. The only problem here with the A's is you have to convince players to play in a minor league ballpark for a couple of seasons before they actually make that move, which is obviously very challenging to make that commitment. They're going to have to overpay if they do want to get some guys. But they signed Luis Severino last winter, probably because they had to. Otherwise, there would have been a complaint filed probably by the PA. But I think that's a team I haven't heard. So I was just going to throw them out there. Maybe the Angels, too. That Rendon money's coming off the books soon. Maybe they try to make a last-ditch gasp at trying to build something around Mike Trout, even though probably not happening. No one really knows what that front office is doing, but they're a team that maybe could spend some money.
Intriguing international player. I like Kazuma Okamoto. I think he is a very advanced bat. I heard he's Hideki Matsui light. Again, very good numbers in the MPB. Much different profile of a bat. I would love to see him on the Yankees. I feel like he's one of the guys the Yankees need. Not a masher. Definitely the type of guy that's going to spray the ball around the park and get on base.
He's a contact bat, yeah. I'm I've heard him linked with the Yankees. I had Tatsuya Imai as an underrated international player. So those were our superlatives. I think we've talked through a lot of the big free agents. Gleyber Torres was extended. Let's just go through some other ones. Gleyber Torres was extended the qualifying offer. I think he accepts the qualifying offer, which the deadline to accept said qualifying offer is November 18th at 4 Eastern. The last guy to accept it, it's been a while. Since 2012, only 14 players have accepted the qualifying offer. Last year was Nick Martinez that accepted it. Notable players who did not receive the qualifying offer: Luisa Reyes, Zach Eflin, Lucas Giolito, Jorge Polanco, and Devin Williams. Also, there were some guys that weren't eligible for the qualifying offer because they may have received it in the past from another team. Don't need to go through those. But like Pete Alonso was one, for example. Nonetheless, let's run through some other free agents, make quick predictions. Gleyber Torres.
Quick predictions on a Gleyber Torres?
Yes.
I think he stays. But I wouldn't be surprised if he ends up on a team like the Reds or one of those like central block teams for a nice, like, good money deal. Maybe even the Nationals make a play.
I think he stays. Michael King, I think he goes to maybe Boston or Baltimore.
I don't know. It's too hard. I just don't know. He does seem like a Baltimore guy, East Coast guy, definitely.
Eugenio Suarez, that's a guy we didn't talk about, but probably the most, well, not probably, he was the most coveted bat at the trade deadline, but high strikeout.
Tigers.
Okay. I like Tigers too. He's not going, he shouldn't go back to Seattle. I know Seattle fans might not want to hear that, but he's a guy that's hit pretty much everywhere except Seattle. I know he had the grand slam in game 5 of that series, the CS, but I think he's going to try to get out of Seattle. Seattle has to overpay for free agent pitchers because it's just such a hard place to hit. Josh Naylor, I think he goes back.
Josh Naylor, yeah, he has to go back.
Ha-Seong Kim, I think one of the more underrated free agents.
Ha-Seong Kim, Atlanta, I think that's a fit. I think he takes a nice little 2-3 year deal back there for a better price.
I could see it. Trent Grisham, I think he accepts the qualifying offer.
Pittsburgh Pirate.
Woo! I would actually really like that signing for Pittsburgh. Zach Gallen, underrated free agent, had an up and down year, had a good month late in the year.
Boston or Chicago?
Makes sense. Jorge Polanco.
I don't know. Maybe Houston.
Shota Imanaga,
San Diego.
He's an angel.
San Diego or an angel? Yeah, that was.
He's an angel. Shota Imanaga is an angel.
Exactly.
He did get the qualifying offer, so we'll see if he accepts it. JT Realmuto, probably the best catcher on the market this winter, but
back to Philadelphia.
35. Yeah, I could see back to Philly. I just don't know where else he lands. Good defender still. Zach Littell gave up a bunch of runs. I don't know. Verlander's a free agent. Dustin Mayza, underrated free agent a little bit. I mean, he struggled in Boston, but he's young, 28.
We are in the deep dive of free agent pitchers. It's like we are in the deep dives of the waiver wire in fantasy football.
Max Scherzer indicated that he wants to come back.
San Francisco Giant.
Hey, we're in the deep dives, but you were just saying earlier that these guys make a difference.
I mean, yeah, but I mean, right now we have no idea. We have to wait for the big fish to sign to have an idea of how these rosters turn out, and we have to see what happens to trade. You have Sandy Alcantara, Ketel Marte, Joe Ryan, just to name a few guys, and you don't know. Somebody can just pop out of the woodwork and be traded. I mean, San Diego might just AJ Preller. You never know what he's going to do. He might just make a crazy move and get out of one of those big players, and then have a bunch of money to spend out on a team.
Yeah, I'll just run through some other big ones.
What if they trade? What if San Diego were to trade like a Xander Bogaerts or like a Jake Cronenworth, and then they just start going crazy and spending?
Yeah, but who wants to take on those contracts? They're gonna have to pay down a good chunk of them, I would think.
The Angels.
True. Some other free agents: Tyler Mahle had a good year. Ryan O'Hearn, another guy that had a good year. Marcelo Zuna was injured at points this season, but 35. That's a good DH bat for you. Willie Castro, Lucas Giolito, who indicated that he wants to go back to Boston, had the elbow thing at the end of the year. That's a concern with him. Martin Perez had an underrated good year for the White Sox, 35. Alex Cobb is on this list. Who else? Kyle Hendricks just indicated that he's retiring.
Mm-hmm.
Paul Goldschmidt. Jordan Montgomery is a free agent. Cody Ponce coming from the KBO. Danny Jansen, Chris Paddock, Patrick Corbin, 36, his second free agency. Rob Refschneider, Dylan Moore. Now we're getting Mitch Garver. Reese Hoskins is a free agent.
We're getting deep, bro.
Walker Buehler.
We getting deep. I mean, Walker Buehler. I don't know. Like I said, I gotta wait to see where these big guys are. I need to see where these Japanese kids go and see guys go and see what happens with them. I think they're gonna kind of set the market.
Luke Weaver.
He screams a central block starting pitcher again. What if he ends up in Kansas City again?
Cleveland Guardians.
Kansas City, maybe a Chicago White Sox. What if the Chicago Cubs get Luke Weaver and convert him into a starter?
I don't think. I mean, Sir Anthony Dominguez.
Yeah, well, give up a home run to Ohtani.
Chris Bassett was really good in the postseason. Really good in the postseason.
What if Luke Weaver is a new Mets reclamation project as a starter?
I could see it. We didn't even mention Robert Suarez, one of the best closers, if not the best closer in baseball last season.
Yeah, I mean, he might be walking. Maybe they got Mason Miller because he was going to walk. So.
Oh yeah, he's gone. He's gone.
Who knows, man? Who knows? It remains to be seen. It is November 10th, and we're right in the thick of things.
Yeah, like you said, GM meetings are this week. Usually not as much movement in the GM meetings as the winter meetings, which are next month in December. But there will be some type of conversations taking place this week. Also awards, of course, coming.
Correct. So we will be live and direct here real soon.
Yeah. Should we leave the Class A thing for another one, or should we talk about it today?
I mean, what is there to talk about Class A? I mean, he's $5-7 million. I mean, could we just copy paste your sports betting rant, or you want to redo your sports betting rant that you do like every 3 months?
No, we don't have to. But it is a big story. Class A, Luis Ortiz indicted by prosecutors in Brooklyn, same prosecutors that did the NBA case too, on charges involving sports betting, wire fraud, conspiracy to influence sporting contests by bribery, and money laundering conspiracy for their alleged roles in the scheme to rig bets on pitches thrown. All charges. They're not convicted yet. This is all still alleged. Everything is alleged. But this says the allegations from prosecutors in the indictment include a specific incident on June 15th when Ortiz was paid $5,000 for throwing an intentional ball, and Class A received $5,000 for facilitating it. Co-conspirators won at least $400,000 on fraudulent wagers relating to Class A and at least $60,000 on fraudulent wagers relating to Ortiz. Prosecutors allege in the indictment. They both face up to 65 years in prison if convicted on all charges. MLB is investigating, and yeah, they're like basically on the phone with people during the game before they pitched, went in and said like, "You ready?" And then these guys made their bets. And today they actually, Major League Baseball and sportsbooks put a $200 cap on pitch betting. So now you can only bet $200 maximum on pitch betting.
They should put a cap on everything so we can prevent this. So yeah.
They should just ban props altogether. It's staying on the game. Really bad luck for both of these guys. And yeah, everyone will say Class A is an idiot for doing this, and he is. I think, and then they'll factor in, like they'll look at his contract, they'll point to his deal and everything. But I think he was doing this for his friends. If again, allegedly, don't know if he was officially doing this. Not convicted yet. Innocent until proven guilty. The allegations, if he was doing this, I think it was to benefit friends, family in the DR, and not for himself. Seems like he was sending a lot of money allegedly to people in the DR. And I think that's what the thought process was. Again, you could just take money from your salary and give it to your friends. But yeah, it's a bad look for the sport, bad look for sports in general. A lot of gambling things. It's basically something new every single month at this point, related to gambling and scandals. And this one we knew in July, but now there's more details coming out. They'll probably never pitch in baseball again. So your career's over. You feel bad for both of them. Well, you don't feel bad. I don't feel bad. But I I mean, Ortiz was a young dude coming up, trying to establish himself in the Guardians rotation. His career is now over. Clase had a bigger contract than Ortiz. He was the best reliever in baseball for a couple years there. Now his is over. 24 playoffs, really struggled. Question marks there. Allegedly, I don't think any foul play was involved. Apparently, Clase was doing this dating back to 23, allegedly, which is crazy. Ortiz just got in on the thing this year. They're pretty reckless about it toward the end. I mean, phone calls during the game before he went in. The wagers were pretty big. It's ugly.
Yeah.
No thoughts?
Couldn't have said it best. Better.
All right. Nothing. I mean, I guess there's.
I mean, it's the same thing. What am I supposed to say? Sports bet. You can't say no to sports betting, and it's just like what it's just the nature of the beast. It's an occupational hazard. We're going to see these things come up day in, day out. So, hey, I don't know, what do you want me to say? It's so what?
It's not a matter of if; it's a matter of when the next one of these things pops up.
Exactly. Somebody's trying to help his family, so hey.
Yeah. All right. Well, I mean, yeah, that's fair. That was a long one.
It was.
Offseason preview.
It was.
Next up, I think Team USA Dream Roster. Going to do that at some point soon.
Yeah.
And then obviously we'll be with you every step of the way this offseason.
Exactly. So
all right.
Keep it locked on Locked In Baseball Pod. Make sure you follow us on Instagram, The Talk. Make sure you subscribe to YouTube. Share with your friends. We're on all streaming platforms. Substack article is not coming soon from William.
That's all we got. Back, we'll see. Probably stick to at least once a week.
Yeah.
Second pod a week.
Depends on the news.
Depends on the news cycle. I think that's a good way to put it. So we'll see if we're back later this week, but definitely something out to you guys next week. Thank you all for listening. Hope you enjoyed, and we'll catch you next time. Peace out.